business. So that's an account on GMB, what it is. So you need to verify your address. How does this happen? So you go ahead and open an account on Google My Business. Okay. So you can use your own email, Gmail, or anything that you have, and you give your address over here. Now the address is always pending for verification. How do you verify? You have to get a PIN. How do you get a PIN? You get a PIN majorly by giving your address, and you get it through postal address. Okay. So once you get the PIN through postal address, you go ahead and verify your PIN. So once you verify that, it means that the address is accurate because you have received that post, and then you go ahead and your address will show on Google My Business is verified. And when people write reviews, it will be shown automatically. And definitely, if you have something in Google My Business, it adds a lot of value to your business as whole. Correct? That's one thing. Second thing is you should be on Bing Places, Apple Maps, and mapminder.com. Now, what happens is a lot of times, a lot of people, especially small and medium businesses, they might change the addresses. So ensure that whenever you change anything, your name, address, and place is consistent, right? So local directories, local reviews, because otherwise people may see wrong or incorrect address when they are looking for a product. There are two websites which are basically Point Blank SEO and Search Engine Journal, which you can follow when I share this doc. Now, one more thing for link building is called bloggers outreach. How many of you know or understand this concept called bloggers outreach? Anybody over here? Let me stop my screen share and I'll open the discussion. Anybody over here knows what do you mean by bloggers outreach? Wild guess. Okay. So what are bloggers? Bloggers are mainly influencers, correct? So a good blogger may have lot of followers. Technically, yes, that's what we mean by bloggers outreach. So let's say I'm a travel blogger, right? And let's say Hiral or Sonal, they have some guest house in Kurg, and my blog has more than 5,000 followers, correct? So now what do I do? If my blog has 4,000 followers, I'm a travel blogger. I go to a guest house which is owned by, let's say, Hiral, and I'm just flambasted with the kind of service his guest house is, beautiful, whatever. I write some really good things about Hiral's guest house in my travel blog. Now, let's say people who are following my blog and who read about Hiral's, let's say, guest house. Now, whenever they plan to go to Coorg, don't you think they will definitely try to check Hiral's guest house once? They may book or not book depending on the requirement, budget, other things. But will they try to go and see once because a good blogger has already written something about Hiral's blog in his or her blog? Yes or no? they they should ideally, right? So don't you think that's also a good way to get free traffic? And we all agree, right, that one of the major influencer for us to make decisions is reviews which other people write. And if a good big influencer writes some positive reviews about us, definitely definitely it adds value. Now, how do you get that? So first of all, you should get very good traffic from search engine. For that, you have to check your traffic. You have to go and check your traffic by using any tools of web analytics. Okay. So web analytics will tell you how much traffic is coming from which source. If you're getting decent amount of traffic, let's say from search engine, what do? Go to Google and first find all the top bloggers of your industry. Let's say top blogger, top fashion bloggers in India, right? So I get the list, I go and check their information and try to contact them. Now, if you just say write about me, will they write about you? If you were so big, they would write about you automatically. Because you're not big, you need to give them a reason to write about you, right? So what do we do in life? If I want to get some work done, right? First, I say, you know what, Palak, last time you did this work, you did a fabulous job, you did a mind blowing job, you did an awesome job. So we start by praising. The moment you praise anybody, do you start to get their attention? We usually get, right? We usually get attention when we praise somebody. Second thing is, we explain what's the benefit for them if they check my email and try my product. Now, if you just write about, say that, please, this is my blog, write about me, they will not even reply. So if I was, let's say, a website and I wanted a blogger to write about me, I would say, you know what? Thank you for reading this email. I too believe that last time you wrote something on this topic, you did a fabulous job. You did an amazing job. And I also have a product similar to this, which might be of interest to your readers. So, the way you need the bloggers, don't you think the bloggers also need something new to write about in their blog? Go on, Fareed. So if you do not write something new in your blog, will the followers stop following you? Correct. So can you be the reason for the blogger to write something new about a product that they are writing about in their blog? So when I start something like this, you know what, Palak? Uh, I have a product like wireframing tools or this software CRM, which I think your readers might be interested in. So now you think, okay, it's for my followers. Let me check. And then you say, I would be glad if you can give some of your expert feedback on this product. The moment I write expert feedback on and explain that it will help their bloggers, I might get slight better chances of getting my blog to be checked and my product to be checked. That's what we do in life also. We tell them, you know what, you did a fabulous job, what job you did, amazing job, and then we explain them. And if you do this time, this may help you in your promotions. This may help you in getting something that you were really looking for. That way, I have a slightly higher chances of getting the blogger's attention. I'm not looking for 100% bloggers to write about me. 5%, 10%, and do not pay them. Am I right? So bloggers outreach is you reach out to the bloggers to check if they can write something about you on their blog with the content. Now, let's say you send an email to 40, 50 bloggers, only 5 or 6 may get back to you. So what do you do for the next? You do make a chart, right? And then you follow up with them. Something like this, right? So you check which websites will be doing this, and then you follow up in an Excel sheet, something like this. URL, who's a contact email, contact name, did they contact, yes or no? Did they reply back, yes or no? Linking that or no? If they're not linked, hi, I just wanted to follow up on the email I sent a few days ago, which you paste below regarding the ultimate guide to backlink that I have put together. It would be great to get your feedback if possible and see. So you follow up with them, right? That's bloggers outpost. Sorry, bloggers outreach. Got it? You're reaching out to bloggers to write, and you make a flowchart like this. Now, also, have you seen in sites like Quora or some other blogs, people give some answer and they give their website? So, can you also inject yourself in the blogger's post? Correct? Now, just do not write about your blog and exit. You have to, of course, tell them that their blog is the best, so nice, that and that, because every blog will have a approval process. Let's say I have a blog, whatever you post, I have to accept that. It's not an open platform like Quora. Am I right? So a blogger will have to approve lot of posts.
So if you write something good about them on their blog, will they approve that? In all likelihood, they should, right? And in that praise of them, also give your own website link saying that, you know what, I too have something similar like you. Can you please check on this? The moment the blogger approves that, your link will also be visible to the blogger's followers, right? And that way you may get free traffic. And how do you check in analytics? You check by checking the traffic for referral. So this is how you do link building. Create content, find the angle that will be a common platform between you and the blogger, outreach, and then follow up with them with different type of content so that they get tempted to write about you. Trust me, trust me, out of 30, 40 odd bloggers, maybe hardly 5 or 6 bloggers may reply back. That's okay. Whatever you're getting free traffic. Am I right? Free traffic is welcome, just with a bit of follow up instead of paying it. Yeah, this is how you do link blogging and guest blogging. You give a ego bait and then you try to link it to them. Very important, you have to look at the domain strength. What is the domain strength? The page rank and everything. Correct? That's bloggers outreach and post. So what type of sites do I do link building with? Sites that are good page rank. If you are doing backlinking with a website that is already very bad or doesn't have a good page rank, what's the point? I'm to say Google has rated that not to be that so great. So even if you do backlinking with them, it's of no use. So should have good domain, good page rank. Check Alexa sites like Alexa or some other tools which can help you to understand the page rank and domain rank. Sites which are relevant to your website. The speed of that website also matters because people, that website page rank also is great. And wherever possible, use anchor text. You should do again competition analysis, right? From sites like Alexa or similar web, and also use tools like SEO Moz and Ahrefs for Screaming Frog. What you should not do for link building, very important. What is not advice? Avoid irrelevant links. So if you are just giving irrelevant spammy links, technically that will be a big problem. You will actually get uh, penalized for that. No link farms. Link farms is basically websites mainly made for link building purpose. They have no content, nothing. They just try to promote links from here and there. Avoid using paid links. Paid links are big no no because Google checks them, and also paid links may not be trustful. They might today write good about you, tomorrow they might write good about your competitor. If I want to use paid media, I would rather use I would rather use something like Google Ads, right? Stop using bad links. Let's say I have a website, correct? And my website is very bad. And Fareed has a very good website, correct? So now, can I write something about Fareed's website on my website? Can I write? Can Fareed stop me from writing something about his website on my website and linking it through hypertext? He can't, right? I can do that. My website is under my control and I can put a hyperlink of Fareed's website in my website. Yes or no? Yes. So, but Fareed doesn't want to do does not want to do backlinking with me because my website is bad, and Fareed wants to tell Google, you know what, I do not want backlinking from this website, so you can use something called REL no follow and give my domain name over there. The REL do not follow Praful's website. This way, Google crawler understands that this backlinking is not something which the user wants. Make sense? Right? So use tools such as Search Console. So what is Search Console? You go to Google Search Console. Anybody who wants to do SEO should go ahead and open an account with Google Search Console. This is a Google tool which gives you a lot of information of what you can do to optimize your website. So you have to give your domain name over here. It will give you all the information about your site performance, your speed, how it is good, how many pages are valid, everything at one place. Right? This is something which you have to do, right? And then some tools which you can follow while doing this is, you can make a note of these tools if you want to. Screaming Frog. Screaming Frog will tell you how many pages were indexed, how many were not indexed by Google, how many pages are broken, not broken, some really good information. And this is a free tool. Screaming Frog is a free tool which you can use for a lot of your SEO activities. A lot of people use that. You have Mozbar. Mozbar also gives you your page rank, see your page authority, domain authority. You see it over here, your spam score, everything, and then your URL, page title, descriptions, H1, H2. So it tells you what are the different things you can do on page on your website to improve your page rank. This is XML site generator. I told you crawlers cannot read HTML. They need something called extra markup language. So you can use XML site generator up to 500 pages. It's for free. So if your website is less than 500 pages, you can use this free thing for XML generator and give it to your developer. SEO Meta Inspector tells you where else you can use the tag of Meta to increase chances of getting more hyperlinks for your website. Google Page Speed Insights. We saw this yesterday. How it helps you to check your page speeds and take it forward from there, right? GTmetrics.com. Again, one more website for page speed. It's called GTmetrics.com, right? Website Grade.com. Again, one more website for your website speed. And you have Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster. All these are different good tools that you can use for your SEO activity. Cool. Any questions over here? One more thing. I have this tricks which I will share with you. Basically, your SEO audit, right? So it tells you your keyword density, how homepage to target business relevant keyword, try targeting to keywords. So you give a score 1 to 10, it's good or bad. Then page title, H1 tag. So list of some 43 activities which you can do to increase your SEO activity both on page and off page. And this is something which you will have to do periodically every few days to enhance your website capability. Cool. Any questions on SEO and this audit? Yes, no, maybe, probably. People, of course, it's very basic. You will have to upskill yourself on a lot of things by using these tools which I have mentioned. Correct? Can we all try to upskill ourselves later by opening a blog and trying to understand how can I optimize my website speed, right? So if you want to make a website, it's very simple. Don't have to do too much. Go to Google Apps and go to Blogger. I would suggest everybody do that whenever you get time. Once you go to Blogger, you can open a free blog without paying anything over here. Cool. Can we all open a website today? Nofal, no, I told you right. I cannot send PPTs. I'll only send you the Word docs which we have made right now. So I told you once we finish the session, whatever Word docs we have made for SEO, I will share that with your training coordinator. I told you that day as well. Correct? Now let's go and understand the next concept, which is email marketing. Now, before even we proceed on that, on what is email marketing and why we do it and what is the purpose of that, how many of you feel that email marketing does not have any future? Email marketing will become extinct, will become like dinosaurs very, very soon. How many of you feel that email marketing does not have any future? Email marketing will become extinct, will become like dinosaurs very, very soon. Anybody over here? Not at all. Not sure. Okay. Nawfal, how about others? What's your opinion? So we are done with SEO. Now we are trying to understand what is email marketing. So even before we get into email marketing, how many of us first of all think that email marketing has any future? Gitika, not sure. Give your opinion. Yes, no, maybe. Based on your own experience. Maybe. Okay, I'll show you my email inbox. So see, I'm somebody who checks my emails at the end of the day. What I do is after end of the day, I check this stuck, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, like this. I delete it. Yeah, what do? I just did some selection, mark delete. Now, if you go to my folder of trash, almost 90% of my emails I have deleted without even checking on that. Do you see this? Correct? Apart from that, you see 462 emails are coming in spam folder. Correct? And then, of course, you have this inbox, social promotions. More than 20,000 emails are in my promotion inbox. See, 23,000, which I have not even read. Now, what do you feel? Email marketing has future, does not have future. Normal, what is normal? They will be, but less compared to social media. Okay. Let's, for timing, forget other mediums. Let's focus only on email marketing. Okay. Now, looking at my experience, and I'm somebody who checks my emails very often. What do you feel? Email marketing has future, it has no future. Now, what do you feel, people, after seeing my experience? Is it no, my overall emails, right? Farid, I'm going to my inbox, forget promotions. Inbox only, what I'm doing. Tuck, 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 tuck.
And I'm deleting it. And I'm sure most of you do it like me, what I'm doing. Yes? Okay, no future. Okay, let's go back and check one more thing. Let's say I had plans to, by the way, go to Mumbai in the last week of April. Now, of course, it's all cancelled. Assuming it was not cancelled, assuming my plan was normal, so what do? I go to cleartrade.com or yatra.com, right? I put Hyderabad as source and Mumbai as destination, date as, let's say, April 28th, check prices, and I don't buy. We don't buy things nowadays, right? We just ignore it. Now, after 2 days, I get an email like this. Let's say, fare alert. Ahmedabad, Hyderabad increased by rupees 892. If I get something like this fare alert or price alert, do you think I have a high chance of opening this email or no chance at all? What do you think? High chance? Okay, perfect. Great. Now, the same email comes to me, let's say after April last week or May first week. The same email comes to me in May.
May last week. Now, what are the chances of me opening that email, high or low? Might open, right? Now, same email comes to me in May first week. Same sender, same receiver, same content. Now, what are the chances of me opening that email, high or low? High? Sure, Farid? Sure? May first week. I was traveling in April last week. Same email comes to me, very minute, right? Yes, so my need was till April last week, and the email is coming in May first week. Very low. What happened? Same receiver, same sender. Even then, there was a problem. No need. So, what do you mean to say? The email should be sent at the right time to the right person, right? So, right email should be sent to the right time to the right person. Am I right? And this is called life cycle emails as per Patrick McKenzie, whose Twitter handle is patio at the rate 11. Correct? Second thing is, can you send emails to people based on what they do or do not do on your website or app? Correct? Can you track what my customers are doing on my website? So can I send my emails based on people's activity? Yes, this is what we have to do when we do email marketing. Now, let me give you one more example. So what happened was when Uber was launched, right? So Uber said link your Uber with Paytm and get first two rides free. I did that. Paytm said link your Paytm with your card and get this much cash back. I did that. So now what is happening? My Uber is linked with my Paytm. My Uber is linked with my Paytm. My Paytm is linked with my credit card. My card is having ECS. Everything is sorted. So for this reason, I never used Ola. One fine day, I one fine day I could not find Uber, so I went ahead with Ola. Cool. So for that reason, I didn't never used Ola. One fine day I could not find Uber, so I went and checked Ola Share, and I booked Ola Share. I used it, and I forgot about it. Do you think Ola will also forget me, or Ola will try to get back to me? What do you think? Ola will forget me, or Ola will try to get back to me? How? So most of us think that Ola will try to ask me to connect with me, try to get some discount offer, this, that? Yes or no? Yes? I'll tell you a very good example. Ola rank. So very, very importantly, you should have a very good subject line. Here's your personalized share course scorecard. So this message looks very personal to me. Definitely yes. And that's why I may go ahead and open this email. So I scroll down. Ola Praful Jain, as we celebrate 1 year of Ola Share in Hyderabad, we thank all our users for contributing to a greater Hyderabad. So what am I doing? They are trying to explain me that because of me, Hyderabad is getting more greener. Wow. As you ride with us, you don't just do good to your wallet, but also to the planet. Let's take a look at how you have contributed towards it with your shared rides. You took a total of one shared ride in last 1 year, travel 8.6 kilometers, and that brings on savings to so and so. So what are you trying to explain me? You're trying to explain me two things. In this entire email that they have sent to me, do you ever see any discount or something like that? I did a new slide, no? What happened? 1 minute. Print screen. Yeah. Do you see any discount offer here? No, right? But what they're trying to explain me? They're trying to explain me that two things. Ola Praful Jain. That's a personal thing, correct? Yes. Total of only one ride in last 1 year. Travel 6.2 kilometers. My saving 34 rupees. I do Hyderabad Greener. Good to your wallet. One ride taken. Just one people. CO2 emission is zero point 0.4 and 4 lakh 64. That means they have more than 4 lakh customers. So now it comes into my mind. Oh my God. If I had traveled more, probably, I would have saved more money. Is this idea coming out across? Yes, perfect. So now, do you think email marketing works if you can explain the people the benefit? Yes, now, do you think this email was sent only to me or to everybody who has used Olasha in past 1 year? Do you think this email was sent to me or everybody? Actually, to everybody, right? Whoever has used Ola Share, everybody, right? And do you think they would send this email? Uh, do you think they will send this email manually or by using a automated software? Automated. Now let's come back to our talk. So if I have to use an automated email, how do I do that? I have to use something. right? So if I have to use an automated email like what Ola did, what do I need? What do I need? First thing is I need a automated software. Okay, um, automated software. Why can't I use my Gmail? Okay, let's say automated software. What else do I need? If I want to start email marketing in bulk, what else do I need? Can you start with by just getting up one fine day morning, or there is some checklist that you have to prepare for? Database, okay. Database of customers, okay. What else? So I have a software like Mailchimp. Let's say Mailchimp, okay. Customer database. What else? Emails are limited to Gmail to 100. So in Gmail, you can send end-to-end Gmail addresses, but if you want to send it to outside Gmail, the limit is 150 emails per day. If it is outside Gmail, 150 emails per day, right? Campaign theme, that's later. That's what you will have to pan. But campaign theme is once you start email marketing. How do you even start email marketing? What else do you need? Think, people. Template, okay. And how will you get a template? So your email software will also give you a template. If you are trying to buy a automate software, it should also give you a template, right? Technically, your email marketing tool. What is algorithm? Naufal, can you explain me on algorithm? What is algorithm? Don't you think you need a personalized domain name? Because Gmail has a one thing, so you need to have a hosting facility.
How about tracking mechanism? Do you need a tracking mechanism also to track what's happening, what's not happening? Right? Do I also need segmentation of my people based on, let's say, new prospect, bot, VIP customer, so that the emails can be automated, right? How about content like your video, images, so on and so forth? Is that also needed? Yes. So how will you get that? How will you get the domain name or hosting facility? Resellers, not really. If I want to buy a domain name, absolutely yes, 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 very fine. So I will have to go to a site like GoDaddy, BigRock, One.com, right? All these companies to buy a domain name, and then I build my database and send through softwares like Mailchimp or Zoho. Why am I saying Mailchimp or Zoho? Because they are free. With Mailchimp, yeah, HostGator, with Mailchimp or Zoho, I can send 12,000 emails to 2,000 subscribers every month for free. How many emails? 12,000 emails to 2,000 subscribers every month for free.
Okay. So there are sites like MailChimp. So once you buy the domain name, you need an automated software who can send emails like this. There are tons of softwares, paid, on all the stuff. But MailChimp, why I'm saying MailChimp is you can go ahead and get a free version wherein you can send 12,000 emails to 2,000 subscribers absolutely for free. You see this? Right? So that's a good way to start for a small medium business. Now you got it, Hiral? Or Zoho. Zoho has something similar, correct? So that's what you're supposed to do over here, and that's what I have kept it in my deck also. So the first thing is you need to have a bulk email campaign, right? So this is a sender, and here we have receiver. So you need an email service provider who can schedule the campaign, which email will go to which customer when, correct? You need to track the campaigns by using analytics for Gmail. Let's say you're using Gmail and you only want to use Gmail, not a paid software. So I can use Gmass or Mailshake. These are two different tools which gives me Gmail data also, but the limitation is only 150 campaigns. Okay. You can design templates without coding. Let's say this image, right, which you saw on over here, correct? Do you think this is a template and you might need a bit of HTML coding to do this? What do you think? Yandex is a search engine novel in Russia. It's not an email marketing tool. Yandex is a search engine marketing tool, right? SEMs. This is Yandex. It's not a email marketing tool. Could be later, but Yandex is majorly known as a search engine marketing tool in Russia. Something like Google did. See, so you have a Yandex Mails and a Gmail. So could be, but not very widely used across the globe. Have you used Yandex? I mean to say, Nofal, how do you know about this? So same like Gmail, you have Yandex, right? Could be used, but what I'm saying is this coding, right? So if you go to Mailchimp, you also don't need to know coding. You can choose your email templates and have this personalized images without knowing coding, right? So let's say I want to go to any campaign. I click on create campaign example. See, you have these templates. I can choose any of these templates for my campaigns. So I don't really need to know coding for my templates, no, not landing page. So let's say I'm going for this, right? And my content, I can edit my design and keep adding images without having a coding noise. Is this wonderful, people? Acha, Ocean Event Domain, yeah. So you can actually do this for a free software, not even paid. You can also try Zoho for this. Zoho is also very good. Zoho also gives you better options because it's new. It's it has taken its thing from Google only. Zoho, you can use multiple. So they have paid version also, Noful, in which you can use multiple version. I'm going to say they also have a paid version. Yeah, paid. Yes, yes, paid. Okay. No, but Zoho I can use multiple domains. Try sometimes. Okay, so that's one reason why we use this, and then you can do audience segmentation of which audience is doing what and something on those lines. Cool. Now, once we do that, the next thing you have to remember is in inbox, right? Do you see people have these different things? Primary, promotions, social updates, categories, correct? So emails will go in different ways, different domains. So once you send an email from here to ESP, how does Gmail decide which one will go on which folder? Have you ever thought about this? What's the logic behind that? So there's some logic, right, for Google to decide which email will go on which part and when. How does it decide? How does it decide? Right? So based on the subject line, content, and user interest. And let's go and check one more thing which people usually check. So I go to my Gmail settings, inbox, and this is how people will decide, right? Which email will come in what's way. Some people, if they uncheck everything, everything comes over there, right? So how does anybody decide what it is? So whenever an email comes, let's say this email has come from Angel Broking example, right? So you click on this, so you get everything. Reply to date, subject line, mail by, signed. This is called DKIM, and then you go over here and click on show original. So very, 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 very important part that you have to understand is message ID created at Angel Broking to subject SPF and DKIM, right? So what is SPF and DKIM and how does this email comes over here? So you see over here something at emails.angelbroking.in. But when I go over here, it says Angel Broking. So how do you get that? So when you buy a domain name, let's say I go to GoDaddy, right? So yeah, guys, getting this point. So how will this email called Angel Broking come over here for this email address when the pseudo email is emails@angelbroking.com, and then what is SPF and DKIM? That's what we want to learn. Does anybody has any idea how this comes over here? This name Angel Broking over here, and what is SPF and DKIM, and why it is useful? Anybody? Has anybody ever done email marketing earlier? And guys, let me know if it is complex. It's easy, right? What I'm trying to understand. What I'm trying to explain is easy questions. Yeah. So when you buy a domain name, right? Let's say I go to GoDaddy. I click on this. Oops, sorry. Right. So I sign in. Let me just go ahead and forget everything. Right. So let's say I want to look for a domain. The domain I'm looking for is, let's say, husband, or let's say COVID-19.com example. So I want to make a domain with this name. Why is it not opening? Okay. So now this website is taken. They give you options, right? COVID-19 online club, COVID-19. Let me go over here and type over here digital mojo.in, some name like this. That's taken. So now I click on add to cart, right? So this add to cart is done. Oh, okay. Let's do add to cart for this one. This has a different name. .org.in. Okay. We continue to cart. So now I have to go ahead and buy this domain name. Correct? Now, when I buy this domain name, it's coming for free. But what they are saying, you can also create an email address that matches your domain. Correct? So I can say, okay, cool. And I click on this. Okay, one email address I want to do. See, it's giving me email address, in. Okay. 10 GB inbox, industry leading spam, works with Outlook. So now I'm getting with a domain name, continue to do cart, and it will ask you for billing information, right? Once you buy a domain, there would be something called MX. MX using GoDaddy, right? So you go to your domain and something called MX record. In that, you will give the email address and the name you want to use like this, right? Once you buy a domain, we close this, right? So you have to give your DS management, whatever. And once you go to your products, manage all, manage zones, and MX is the place where you will give the name and the email address you want to use for your email marketing activities. Over there, I use one email. I give a name for it like Praful at so-and-so.com, and people will see over here like Praful at so-and-so.com. Make sense, everybody, how this is working? Yes? Now, next thing is domain name. Let's say I do not work for IBM, right? I do not work for IBM. Have you seen some spammers imposing themselves as Praful at IBM.com, so and so? This is what you will see in the email address.
but the email is not sent from IBM.com. So if I'm not working for IBM, can I send an email using IBM.com domain name? Is it possible for me? Am I authorized to use IBM.com domain name? No, right? No, right? But have you seen sometimes imposters? Uh, it shows as if it's from IBM.com, right? And the email looks like IBM.com. How will you verify it's from IBM or not? How will you verify that? So when
You go over here, right? You see over here, SPF pass with IP so and so and so and so. So when you buy a domain name, you also give IP addresses, or you also give a list of IP addresses from which the email will be sent from your domain. And this is called sender policy framework. So if the ESP, let's say Gmail is the receiving provider, they say that okay, for IBM, the IP address would be 100.0.0.1 to 100.0.0.100. If the IP address is from, let's say, 102.0.0.5, it will pass, it will fail, and then it may go to spam folders saying that this email has not come from that specific thing. Now you know how it is difficult for spammers. Now, apart from that, something called DKIM. DKIM is basically you give your domain a digital signature and it will recognize, okay, this is how this email has come from a valid sender based on the SPF and DKIM, and that's what you're supposed to do. And if you use automated tools like MailChimp or let's say Zoho, this SPF and DKIM are done automatically. You don't have to break your head because you're telling them, you know what, Mr. MailChimp or Mr. Zoho, this is my domain name, this is my email. I want to send 20,000 emails in the next 1 month. Do that, they'll do it automatically for you. But SPF and DKIM are basically to avoid, avoid, avoid any problem in your account. How do you set it up? So if you have an account over here, right, you go to settings, see domains over here. Of course, it's not verified. Once you verify the domains over here, you will see the domain name, what you have verified, what you have not verified, and you will keep it over here. Now, let's say in MailChimp, I go over here, MailChimp.com. I've given my domain name over here. I'll just show you on MailChimp.com how to do that. Right? This is my account, right? So I go to my account. You see over here account. I click on this settings, right? You go to domains. You see everybody. I went to my account. I went to account settings and then my domain. I need to verify my domains. You see this verified domain? I click on this and you see this has to be a part of my email. Then it's a okay, this looks like a genuine email address once you authenticate it. Cool. This is how you do it in MailChimp. Same way you have settings in all the email service provider to do it for your own email addresses. So why it is needed? This is to ensure that nobody can spam using your own personalized domain name. Got it? What is SPF and DKIM? Full form is Sender Policy Framework and Domain Key Information. Right? Domain keys, identified email. It checks for your IP address, IP location, and all that stuff. Cool? Make sense? Yeah. Now, next thing is, after doing this, this email has come in spam, right? In India, what do you think are the rules for local compliances? Any idea? If somebody is not following the policies, what can happen in India? How do you decide something is spam or not? So let's say you're a spammer in India. What can mark you spam in any options? Nothing at all. In India, you can't do anything. In US and Canada, you have two different options. It's called Can Spam Act, Can Spam Act in US, and CASL in Canada. What is the rules or rules says? So first of all, the email should be very transparent and not deceiving. For example, this is saying value research fund. I click on this, and you see something is there, newsletter values, and I'm not sure what it is all about. Panic, not panic. So it's talking something about something else. Or let's say, uh, yeah, FinServe Markets. I click on this and see it's some info at crm at gmail.in. Let me click on show original. It's passed, but see domain name is not matching and it looks slightly spammy. Nothing has come over here, right? So the information should be very transparent. You should not show something else and try to, you know, do something else on the email. You should have an unsubscribe option at the bottom of the window, something like this. You see this? If you don't do this, it can lead to definitely bigger problems later. I mean, you can have legal repercussions because of this. So there is one company. The name of that company is Plenty of Fish. Plenty of Fish. If you have heard this name, just in case, they had this option. But when people were clicking on this, it was not loading a page to unsubscribe. Cool. If you click on this and it does not load a page to unsubscribe, can they do anything to you in India because of that? India, not much. In Canada, this option was not loading and they had to pay a fine of $48,000. Right? So this should option be there. Plus in USA, you should also you should also give your mailing address where they can reach out to you. That's a thing. Physical address of the bottom. If they opt out, how much time do you need if you opt out? Technically, that email address should not be there in the next email. So what I mean by that, let's say a lot of companies have monthly options, right? You have a campaign today and then you may send the next email after 20 days, 25 days, 30 days, right? That's one option. But let's say somebody sends an email every 2, 3 days, every 4 days, like e-commerce companies, then it may take 24 hours. So technically what it says over here is that same email, once you unsubscribed, should not be a part of your email marketing campaign when you send it for the next time. Make sense? For Canada. User should give explicit permission to send you email. Cool. Now, what is implicit? What is explicit? Let's say your email address is on LinkedIn or on Facebook, or let's say on some other portals, right? Guys, just 2 minutes, okay? Excuse 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Sorry, guys. Yeah, sharing facility rule government. Yeah, you can say that. Rule government. But let's say if you give your email address on LinkedIn or on, let's say, on Facebook or some other website, are you giving some people permission to drop an email to you? Some promotional emails. Like if I go to LinkedIn, I may get personalized messages of their marketing also. Yes. Am I giving them implicit or explicit permission? That yes, though I'm not giving you, telling you explicitly to do that.
But doing this, I can do that, right? Let's say, let me go to my messaging, and I might see some messages over here, which might be like, it will also come back to my inbox. Am I right? Possible? Let the message load. Something like this. This may also come to me in my inbox. But am I given them permission in writing to send me an email? Or have I gone to the website and asked them to send me an email? Yes or no? Just because my email address is on LinkedIn, they can send me an email? Possible? Yes, no, maybe. Have you received emails from some marketers because your email address is present on LinkedIn or on Naukri? Do you get emails on Naukri also? Yes. So in US, even if they give explicit permission, that's perfectly fine. However, in Canada, so in US, if they give implicit permission, absolutely fine. In Canada, they have to come to your website and explicitly tell by subscriber doing that, yes, I'm okay to receive email address. That's one big change. Yes, but in Canada, you cannot send email. You need to have explicit permission to send your email to the customers, or else you will be in a big, big, big problem. Make sense? Yes. And these are few of the tools that you can talk about: Aweber, MRSys, Mailchimp, Amazon Marketing, Zoho, Marketer, Padilakyo, few email marketing tools that you can look forward to when you start doing your email. Make sense till now? How you can start the email activity? First and foremost, as I showed you, let me close all this. You need to have basically a domain name, right? Like then you need to go with for this plan forever free and start sending emails to the customers. Till now it's clear? And then follow the rules of US Canada, Can Spam Act or CSE Canada. Any questions till now on this? Nope, right? Let's go back. Okay, so all these are different types of emails that you can do. Now, next thing is after I do this, I make my campaigns. So let me go back to one more diagram. So let's say I am a sender using my own domain, right? And then you have a receiver, okay? And our EAP over here, which I call the COP. So first time when you send them an email, let's say your reputation score is 100. Cool. So you send an email. There is a ESP who would receive your email, and your reputation score is 100. Till now it's clear. Now what would happen? What do you think will happen? Okay, I have not turned on anybody's video. Okay, guys, please some of your videos. Let me check who's still not. Okay, okay. I'm so sorry. Something. So my focus is not on this. I was just trying to see the PPTs as much as possible. So, guys, are the videos off for everybody? Yes. Okay. Can I? Okay, then I'll start once again. Okay. So now, let's say when you start a campaign, don't you think by default, let's say the score is 100, right? The best score is 100 for any email service provider or any email marketer. So when you start your campaign, you will start with a default score of, let's say, 100 only, correct? So there is a receiving ESP. So when you send the email for the first time, in all likelihood, they will allow every email to go into the inbox of the customers. Yes, in all likelihood, they will make every email go to the inbox of every customer. Yes, maybe. Without doing much check, they will do because first time, right? Now, once the emails reach inbox of lot of people, they may take multiple actions or no action at all possible. So now, what kind of actions can actually decrease your reputation score? Any idea? What kind of actions will decrease your reputation score? Any idea? what type of actions from receivers can decrease your reputation score. It's there on the screen only. Just want to see how many of you can see it. Absolutely bad links. That's also there. But how many people have reported spam and how many have deleted the email? This is still fine. Deleted is still fine. But reporting spam is a problem. Some people will not even open it. That's okay. So now, let's say a lot of people have marked in spam. Now you start, let's say 20 people have marked in spam. Example. So now your score will be 80. You again send email to list of people second time. Guys, 1 minute, okay, 1 minute. Let's have some water. Have some water. Oh, sorry, guys. I just wanted to check mute. Okay, can you hear me now, guys? Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now? Oh, I'm so sorry. So, let's say my score of repetition now becomes 80. Okay, and now I start my second email marketing campaign. This receiving email address, or we call it COP, don't you think it will do some more checks before deciding to send the email to receivers? Yes, yes or no? Yes. So, what kind of checks will it do? Any idea? What kind of checks will it do? Any idea? It should check few things. The first thing it will check is people content. Correct? So it will check your past experience and check history of your campaigns. Now the first thing is it's a comment. For some strange reason, right? The moment you have to put an image on any of your website, do you have to use some kind of a code? Let's say I am opening this. This kind of image has come, right? Do you think some HTML coding is needed for this, or it will happen automatically? What do you think? Yes, for some strange reason, the moment it involves any kind of coding, Google thinks it's a promotional email. I don't know for what purpose, but yes, for some strange reason, the moment it sees some HTML code in the email template, it thinks it's things. So try to avoid scripting language as much as possible. Try to make it plain HTML. It should not look spammy, and you need to avoid words like free, 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 discount, 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 discount. Let's say your client is a e-commerce company. Think you have done this training, and now you have become big consultants, and now you can go ahead and and start email marketing campaigns. And the big e-commerce client, and he or she says that, you know what, I need to use this word discount or free, discount or free, discount or free. What will you do? Will tell him no, you can't use this, or what will you do? Your e-commerce client is saying no, it is needed, and this word looks spammy. So words like this may look spammy. So what will you do? Think like a marketer. Will you say no, we will not be able to use it, or then you will say yes, and you will try to figure out how can I use this? Think like a consultant. Put an image. Image may look much more spammy. Remember, I told you the moment you have something like an image, it looks like more promotional. Synonyms. What is the synonym of discount? What is the synonym of free? Let me know. Offer. Offer may also okay. Offer is good. But discount offer. But let's say you want to use free only. Offer may not be so catching. Then what will you do? Free and offer are not synonyms. Discounts and offers are synonyms, yes. But what if you want to use free? Without cost of payment, no payment. But as a user, will no payment catch your attention or free will catch your attention? What will catch your attention, Farid? Also think of open rate. Think of users. Free. So what we will do is there is a tool called quietio.com. So this tool tells you what kind of keywords can are marked spam and what is the score of it. Let's say you have 5 rupees, right? If someone says you know what, if you give me 40 paisa, I will allow you to use the word of free. You still have 4.6 rupees balance. So would you be okay to give 40 paisa and use the word free? Is that a good way? So what you do is you go to this account called uh, Quietio, right? And then you go to your past. You go to this. There's no email campaign only. This is my new account, and you give an email campaign name, something like this. Quietio, Quitio.com, and let's say this is also image. I want to check some text. Balance month. Yeah, let's say the balance month example. Hi from Mega. This is, let's say, and then you click on submit. Right? Now the email subject line is also hi from Mega. Correct? And then I put this code. Oh, big email. Oh. See, this is through Mailchimp. You see this through Mailchimp. See, they got the address, unsubscribe, everything, right? And I do this, and I click on check spam score. See, 7 tests completed. My email was at 4.4 out of a spam score of 5. So that's why it's gone to promotion because out of 5, 4.4 is spammy word. So what is the biggest spammy word? Let's say music. Now I want to understand how can I avoid music. Control F, music. You guys able to follow? I'm checking my content which is giving me spam. Control F, music. Right, so over here I can find music across again. Control F, music. Up, find next. Down, find next. See? Art, music. So let me remove music from here. Let's say arts and speaking is fine. Music is spammy. Again, music. Okay, now let me take my spam score once again. See, it's come to 3.2. It was on 4.6 earlier, right? So this is good score, 3.2. If it is more than 4, it's a problem. I can again, remove coach if I want to, or journey if I want to. So let's say I want to use free, then how will it be? Let me type free over here. Free. Save page. Let me try this. Right? Quiet your spam. Control V and check spam score. See, team resort free is zero point 0.4. Let me use it, right? See, it's a very good email, not much. See, if I want to still decrease it, I can decrease it. But only 40.4 is being penalized for free. Let me use free. Correct? Now, do not tell this to your client, but you should know how to use this. It's a good tool, Quietio.com, to understand whether my email is spammy, not spammy. What do you think? Very good tool, right? Yeah? Now, now. So you choose this and you do this. Still, you have done all the content, everything is very, very good. Still, is there a chance that some people may still mark you spam? Possible? Do you have it in your control? So, if one person marks you spam, will you be marked spam completely, or there should be some threshold that is that should be given for you? Yeah, and what is the threshold? 0.1% is the threshold. If 0.1% people mark you spam in any ESP, then you are blacklisted as spam. So let's say if you have a list of 5,000, if five people mark you spam in Gmail, then Gmail will blacklist you. Possible? Five is a very small number, right? So once you are marked as spam, definitely you can go ahead and try to fight it out and say, okay, I did this mistake. Can you remove me from my spam email list? I'll ensure I'll not do it again. Is that option very feasible option? But I've been marked spam, but you know what? I think I deserve one more chance. Correct? So if you do, should you be given an option like that so that you can be marked unspam later if people have marked you spam? Is that a viable option that should be given to every email marketer? Yes, no, maybe, probably. You have been marked spam, but now you want to appeal that, you know what, okay, whatever happened, happened. Can I start afresh? Can I ensure that I'll not mark it spam? Should you be given one more chance? What do you think? Should you be given one more chance? Absolutely. So first, let's talk about the chance. So there is one more tool. It's called MX Toolbox. Okay. So you can open an account over here also. MX Toolbox. And let's say I give a name like, let's say, fastmailchimp.com example. And you see over here option of blacklist. Blacklist. Click on this. I click on blacklist and type over here fastmailchimp.com. Let me type over here what was Mega's address. 1 minute. Balance Mantra, right? The balancemantra.com. Blacklist check. Now you see over here, Mega from Balance Mantra has sent email to a lot of companies, but you see this service providers like CBL and Spam Who's Zen have marked her spam. Because of some reason, these people have listed them as spam. Correct? Cool. So that's the problem. So now how do I fix this? Click here for some suggestions. I click on this. Right? Now, if I click on this, right? Do you see any ads over here on this website, MX Toolbox or anything over here? Right? So it is giving reason of what is CBL blacklisted and what you should do. Right? But on this website, do you see any ads, anything else on this website? No? So how do they make money? They want you to use their page. Once you click on detail, they tell you why it was done, and then they want to use it to your paid details to ensure that they remove you. You can remove one for free, right? And then you can go ahead And if you want more support, then definitely you have to use the paid services like what I did was, see over here. So click on suggestions. Now over here, up to one blacklisting is for free. If you want more than that, you may have to use the paid. You see this? And that's how this company actually makes money. But good tool if you want to ensure that you kind of remove people from the blacklist checks. Make sense, everybody, till now? Good tools, MX Toolbox and this. So how do you check your checklist? First, go to content. So go to a thing called Quiro.com, right? Then you have something called blacklisted. Go to MX Toolbox. Check how much percent spam complaints came, and then you can change your IP address. So this is what happened over here. This was the IP address through which the email was sent. Detail. Click on this. And now, what you can do is click on Add Monitor. Right? So basically, it tells you what IP addresses we're doing over there once you have the paid account, and you can change your IP address if needed. This was the IP address of the sender. If you want, you can change the IP address and use a new IP address to ensure that it happens. And finally, you have to ensure that you increase the user engagement. Make sense? Now, let's say when you launch a new IP address. So there's a concept called cold IP or warm IP. Like, we tell, right? I'm very warmer to this person. This person is very cold. So what do you mean by cold? Something which we just started talking about. Warm is somebody whom I know from long time. So whenever you send an email, it goes through some server somewhere, and then there is an IP address attached to it. So every IP address will be marked as cold IP and warm IP. Do you agree on that at this point? Yes. So what happens? A lot of marketers who are not sure how to do email marketing, they start with a cold IP address. How they start their campaigns? Send so many emails. Second time, so many emails. Third time, emails. Fourth time, so many emails. Fifth time, sixth time, seven times. See, there's no trend technically. So if the email is not going in a good trend, high chances uh, response rate is lower because following up. So yes, also okay. This IP address has no consistency. So let me give more check on this, and it will try to increase its what do you call check and increase its what do you call check and other things on your IP address that much more. Yes, possible. Yes. Now, ideally, what you should do is, if I am a marketer, technically, if I have a cold IP address, I should start like this. And by the time I reach this point, there's a trend, and now my IP address becomes warm. Am I right? Correct, dear my friends? Cool. So what people do is, to avoid all these headaches, again, they go to tools like MailChimp, Marketo, Everbar, MRC. They say, you know what, I don't really care about cold IP, hot IP, this IP, that IP. I want you to deliver 20,000 emails to my customer's inbox in the next 30 days. Please do it. That's one way of doing this. Second thing is, let's say you are doing it on your own. Again, there is a tool called sendinblue.com. And over here, they have a IP address plan. So you can buy warm IP addresses from there. Correct? So you can go over here and say, okay, for 600 emails per day, it's free. If you want more, you see 2343 per emails. That way you can send 60,000 emails per month and they will take care of the IP address also. And this is called sendinblue.com, where you can buy IP addresses. You can have a dedicated domain and a dedicated IP address only for your email marketing activity. Right? So I don't really have to depend on anything. I can build my own email marketing tool and I don't have to depend on MailChimp or whatever. I can get IP addresses from here. For that, click here and it will give you the pricing information. Yeah, makes sense, everybody? So one more tool that you have learned about, it's called sendinblue.com. Great. Now, what you can do is, after doing this, go to mailchimp.com and open an account, or Zoho also if you are not using it. So why it is there? Because it's a free thing. Now let's say I go back to my campaigns. You see over here campaigns. So once I want to make a campaign, there are different ways to make a campaign. Right? Let me go ahead and delete few of them. Tuck, 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 delete. Cool. Now create a campaign. Email campaign. Perfect. Campaign name. Board Infinity. April patch. Okay. Begin. This is a regular email. I don't want to use any automated. So you can make your own email campaign. First thing is it will ask you to add recipients. So you should have an audience list in audience. You can add your audience list, or I can add it from my audience. See, once I have audience list, I can just add from here, right? From, right? So add a from email address, merge tag. So you see, first name, last name over here. You were seeing, right? How can I change the names? Praful Jain was coming automatically. So you will see first name, last name to be tagged, saved. From email address, edit from. Now instead of name, I can type over here. What people can do is I can type it over here. IBM company. This is how they fool everybody. So if you look like IBM company and have different email address, subject line, right? Testing. And now I can type over here my text. Welcome to the world of Zoho. And this email can be sent to everybody. Let's say I want to design this. So what I do, I click over here and you see a template over here. All these are, see, upgrade to use. Upgrade nahi karna hai humko. Basic, we'll take basic one. Let's say much to column. Oh, again, I'm upgrade to use. It's asking me to take a plan. Let's not take a paid plan. Design email. one column full width, upgrade, upgrade. Oh, this is free. These two are free. Let us use one column. Okay. Now it will ask me for my email content. So it's nice, right? First, let me understand if I want to put text box. Let it come. So if I have a logo, let me use a logo. Right? If I want to add some logo, I can add two logos also. But if I want to have only one logo, what is the logo I want to add? Let's say link of the logo. If you have a web address, anchor link called file. Let's say if you have a file, where is the file coming from? This can be my logo. If I want to insert, okay, it's trying to load. Style, border I want, let's say dotted. Settings, I want everything to come to left or center. Now I want to add a image, right? So I want to add an image in between my email, upload an image, right? This is the image I have my account. Insert. This image will be inserted automatically. See this image automatically done. Now again content. I want to add some text. Logo will be up. Content. Save and close. Now text. Right? And right over here. Come live your life to the full. Right? Save and close. Footer. Right? Now I need to change my email address, list company, whatever. Unsubscribe, everything. I save. And this is how an email template will look like. If I want to check how it looks like, I go over here. Let me delete this logo thing also. Right? And that's it. It's saved. And this is how my email will look like when it goes live. So I suggest you also can practice this once after you open the account. Very, very simple. In this, you also have an option to actually make a landing page, make other few aspects, how to add the audience list and report. So any email marketing tool should give you all these options of how many emails were sent, how many delivered, opened, clicked, open or click rate, forwarded, spam, bounce, which links are most open, device or report. Once you all get all this, you can make your email campaign that much more better. Yeah. So can all of you open an account with Zoho and Mailchimp and try this templates once? That's going to be very, very helpful. Yes. And then once you do it, then you can follow all these rules which you mentioned over here. Easy. Yeah. So that's it. Let's stop over here, and we can start once again on I think Friday we're meeting Friday with the next topic, which is analytics. But these are some important tools which you can actually look forward to. Right? Jaydeep, Sonal, Naufal, Hiral, Sonal, Tapas, Ashwini, Gitika, Suraj, Farid, Arunachalam, Sanket, Aman, Preetam. Any questions from you? No? So if you have no questions, people, then take care. Have a safe week until we meet again on Friday. Yeah?